Yes, students, welcome to DPMS video lecture sessions. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss about continuation to the previous class, relational data models. In this, we are going to discuss about relational database constraints. And this is Dr. K. Praveen Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, KITS Warangal. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss about relational model constraints and the details of update operations. By the end of this lecture, you are able to examine the capability of constraints and you are able to apply the update operation onto the relational data model. Key constraints. An attribute that can uniquely identify a tuple in a relation is called the key of that particular table. The value of the attribute for different tuples in the relation has to be unique. So for example, if you take this customer table, customer ID must be unique value. And these are the customer names and the status. These customer names may not be unique and status may not be unique, but customer ID must be unique. So you can give the key value for that. So key plays an important role in the relational database management system. It is used to uniquely identify any record or row from the table. It is also used to establish and identify the relationships between tables. For example, in student table, ID is used as a key. See, ID is used as a key. ID is used as a key because it is unique for each student. In a person table, passport number, license number, SSN, these are also unique values for person table. So these are the types of keys: primary keys, candidate keys, super key, or foreign key. These are the different types of keys. Primary key is the first key which is used to identify one and only one instance of each entity uniquely. An entity can contain multiple keys, as we saw in the person table, and the key which is most suitable from those lists become a primary key. In the employee table, employee ID can be primary key since it's unique for each employee. And in the employee table, we can even select license number, passport number as primary key, since they are also unique. So for each entity, selection of primary key is based on the requirements of developers. So this is employee table, and employee ID be the primary key. Candidate key. A candidate key is an attribute or set of attributes which can be uniquely identify a tuple. So remaining attributes except for primary key are considered as the candidate keys. The remaining are called as candidate keys. Candidate keys are also as strong as the primary key. So for example, in employee table, ID is the best suited for primary key, and the remaining passport number is a unique one, license number is a unique one, SSN number is a unique one. So these are called as candidate keys. Super key is a set of an attribute which uniquely identify a tuple. Super key is a superset of candidate keys. For example, the role of super key is simply identify the tuple of specified table in the database. It is the superset. The main important thing is it's a superset where the candidate key is a part of the super key only. So all those attributes in a table that is capable of identifying the other attributes of the table, unique manner for all the super keys. So example, with this example, you can clearly understand. So this is the employee table, employee SSN ID, employee name and email ID. So where you can take the super key as SSN number is a unique value. So you can take it as a super key. ID is a unique value. Email is also a unique value. So you can take this as a super keys, as well as you can take the combination of different attributes, which one must be an unique value. SSN is a unique value, employee ID is a unique value, employee ID is a unique value. Sometimes employee name is not a unique value, but you can take the combination of these two. So that with the employee ID, you can get the employee name. In the similar way, SSN number, employee ID, employee email ID, these are all the unique values. You can combinedly take it as a super keys. Here also, SSN number, name, employee ID. So SSN and employee ID are the unique values. So you are combining name with these two. So these are the set of super keys. So a key satisfies two properties, two distinct tuples in any state of the relation cannot have identical values for all the attributes in the key. The first property also applies to a super key. It is a minimal super key, that is a super key from which we cannot remove any attributes and still have uniqueness constraints in a condition. One holds this is properties not required by a super key. For example, this is super key is a roll number, email ID, roll number and name. Name is not a unique value, but you are combining with roll number. And age is not a unique value, but you are combining with roll number. So these are not possible. Age is not a unique value, but email address is a unique value. So in this way, you are going to combine the super keys. So constraints. So there are several constraints here. The first one is not null constraints, which specifies whether their allowed null values or not can be defined by your not null constraints. So the first one is entity integrity constraints. Entity integrity constraint specifies that no attribute of primary key must contain a null value in any relation. So this is because the presence of null value in a primary key violates the uniqueness properties. So you are not allowed to enter null values at the place of primary key. Referential integrity constraints in DBMS are based on the concept of foreign keys. So foreign key is an important attribute of a relation which should be referred in other relationships. So you can give the reference to one table to another table. Relational referential integrity constraint states happen where the relation refers to key attribute of a different or same relation. So tuple for customer ID is equals to 1 is referenced in twice in relational buildings. For example, this one. So this is other relation. This is another. This is customer relation, and this is billing relation. So one is mentioned here twice, so that you can know how many times this customer ID spent the amount. Operations in relational model. So 4 basic update operations can be performed on relational database model, that is insert, update, delete, and select. So insert, we already discussed in the laboratory session. Insert is used to insert the values into the relation. The delete is used to remove the tuples from the table. And the modify or alter, you can update the values of existing relation. Different tuples you can update. And the select, you can retrieve the values from the relation. So whenever one of these operations are applied, integrity constraints specified on the relational database scheme must never be violated. So update operations and operations on the of the relational model can be categorized into retrievals and updates. So basic operations that can change the states of the relation in the database is insert, delete, update, or modify. Update operations on a relationship: insert a value into a tuple, delete a tuple, modify a tuple. Integrity constraints should not be violated when you are doing all these operations. The updates may propagate the cause of update automatically. This may be necessary to maintain integrity constraints. In case of integrity violation, so when you are inserting integrity violation, several actions can be taken. So first one, cancel the operation and which is causing the violation, and perform an operation but inform the user about that violation. What kind of violation is happening, you can inform to the user, and trigger additional update as the violation is corrected. You can also execute a user specified error correction routine. Some function you can write that which is happening the violations. So there are some possible violation in each operation when you are inserting may violation the constraint. For example, domain constraints. If one of the attribute values provided for the new tuple is not specified, attribute domain are key constraints. If the value of key attribute in the new tuple already exists in another tuple in the relation. Referential integrity. If a foreign key value in the new tuple reference a primary key value that does not exist in the reference location, this may be a violation. And entity integrity. If the primary key value is null in the new tuple, then it's a violation of primary key rules. So for example, domain constraint can be violated if the given attribute value does not appear in the corresponding domain. For example, here the domain it's an integer values only, number values. But if you are giving a, so this will violate the domain constraints. So insert employee, it violates constraint. So again, employee ID is a unique value. If you are entering the same value, so this is a violation. So it is not possible. Right. So if you are giving a null value in employee ID is a primary key or some key unique value. So you should not enter the null values. So it is a violation again. So here, this violates department number, violates the referential integrity insert into the employee. This comes under referential integrity constraints. It is going to violate. So delete may violate any only referential integrity if the primary key value, the tuple being deleted, is referenced from the other tuple in the database. So we can be remedied by several actions like restrict, cascade, or set null. So what is restrict option? So you are going to reject the deletion. Cascade option, propagate the new primary key value into the parent key of the referencing tuple. So this is one is cascade option. Set null option, set the foreign key of the referencing tuple to null so that you can remedy for these actions. Delete operation, it violates referential integrity, and when you are employing delete employee tuple with employee ID 1331, and instead of that you can write delete the works on tuple, works on table name tuple with employee ID 1331 and PN number is 1, that will be accepted. So like this. Possible violation for each operation. Update may violate domain constraint and not null constraints, and on an attribute being modified. So any other constraints may also be violated depending on the attribute being updated. So updating the primary key similar to delete followed by an insert. Need to specify similar options to delete. Foreign key, updating foreign key may violate referential integrity. Updating an ordinary attribute, neither PK nor FK, can only violate. See, this PK is primary key and foreign key, can only violate domain constraints. Modify operations, when you update D number, department number of the employee tuple with employee ID 1331 to 1. So it is acceptable. Update the department number of the employee tuple with employee ID 3331 to 7. So this will violate the referential integrity. Right. So this one. Department number 1331. So update the employee ID of employee tuple with employee ID 1330231. So this violate constraints and referential integrity both. A transaction can be defined as a group of tasks. A single task is a minimum processing unit which cannot be divided further. So let's take an example of simple transaction. Suppose a bank employee transfers 500 rupees from account A to account B. So the very simple and a small transaction involves several levels of tasks like this. Open an account, old balance is equals to A balance, new balance is equal to old balance minus 500, and A dot new balance is equals to new balance, and close your account. In the same way, open account B, old balance is equal to B dot balance. You are going to add this new balance, old balance plus 500 to this new balance, and then you will get the new balance and you are going to close the account. So these are the several transactions when you are doing a simple operations. A transaction involves reading from the database as well as doing insertion, deletion, updation operations to exist the existing values in the database. A transaction must leave the system in consistent state. So these are the summaries which we have discussed. It presented in relational model concepts, definitions, characteristics of relations, domain constraints, key constraints, integrity constraints, and referential constraints, and update operations. So these are the lecture level problems. Please go on with these problems and try to solve all these problems. So this is all about this class. Thank you.